welcome to another episode of Chopping It Up with the Fellas.
Make sure you like, comment, subscribe.
For sure, right now.
Share. All of it.
When you played a clip of Candace Owens, and she was having a discussion about anti-Semitism, and you was remarking on, how pleasurable it is to behold her visage. I can't get past the scar tissue on her soul myself. But
Jeez. That is bad.
we were talking, she was talking about anti-Semitism. Once again, I have to make my disclaimer for the lawyers of the Jewish Anti-Defamation League. I don't want no smoke. I'm just saying, right? I'm going to read the definition of a Semite. And Semites refer to a broad group of people who speak or spoke Semitic languages, a family of languages, including Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic. Right? Historically, the term was also used as a broader, sometimes racial sense, though this usage is now largely outdated outside of linguistic context. That's what it says on Google. That's the Webster's Dictionary meaning of Semite. Right? And the reason why that's important is because that means that damn near every war that we fought after Vietnam has been anti-Semitic. Because that would mean that Arabic people are Semites. So
That's what it will mean.
Why do we throw the word around? Why are we calling Semites anti-Semitic? Number one. That would mean that his Hebrew Israelites are Semites. That would mean that Muslims are Semites. So how can you have a person being persecuted and call them anti-Semitic when they're a Semite themselves? Like,
now,
this is the problem. So then we started getting into all of the different popular terms that have been misquoted for the sake of branding. Go ahead, Will. My bad.
Oh, no, you good. Because I was just going to say what I said before. We're not going to use this platform to increase knowledge. But no, everything you said is accurate. But it goes, like I said, it goes to, what I was saying earlier about, in a lot of situations, it's almost like what did was it Napoleon that said, those who win the war write the rule, right? So, and what he say, history is a pack of lies agreed upon by those who win the war, right? You know what I mean? So what you're saying is accurate, but at the end of it, it's like, those, and another phrase that you like to use, those who would presume to control us, they have a plan and they implement said plan fairly well. Been doing it for, you know what I mean? And if you watch how they take, if you watch how they take things out of people's communities, twist it, and then make it a negative, like we was talking about the word woke, for instance, that's something that's been in our community since the 1800s. But now it means whatever a certain side of the aisle don't like. Everything. They done put it in a bundle. All of it. DEI is woke. You know what I mean? Everything is woke. Everything that they don't like now is woke. If you see a black mermaid, that's some woke shit. Don't watch the movie. You know what I mean? Everything. So they done took a word that we use in our community to basically mean keep your head on the swivel. There's sundown towns down here, my nigga. Keep your head on the swivel because they out here. Be alert, stay alive. We used to say in the Army, right? And they took that simple phrase, that one word that meant that thing, and took it to mean or made it mean whatever they wanted to mean. And it's just another buzzword. Like you said, branding. They do a good job of branding. And then they send their minions out to muddy the waters with the next buzzword. That's what it seems like to me.
That makes sense. Because, I mean, if you use the word in the context that Black people did in the 90s, right, when we were doing hip hop and stuff, you would say, don't get caught sleeping.
Right. Stay alert. Stay woke. Stay black. All that we used to say in the 70s.
So now, if that's true, people are actually telling you to get caught sleeping.
Yeah. Don't, because if you anti-woke, that means
Because it's
what?
too woke. Right.
You anti being alert? All right. I mean, just, it's weird. And, you know, to have people beating the drum telling you to be less aware.
Against wokeness.
Less aware. And like I said, they put what I've learned and what I've noticed over my limited life. What I've noticed is they're going to put a face on something that they don't like, that certain group of people, those who would presume to control us, they'll put a face on it and then run it in the ground. We could talk about, I don't want to stay on it, but I'm going to touch it. Immigration, right? This last cycle, immigration was the thing. So they found this one dude that allegedly kept jumping the border, kept getting deported, kept jumping the border, kept getting deported. And he allegedly killed some little girl, right? They talk about immigrants, plural, are all criminals, but they showed this one dude fake. He was the poster child of immigrants, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
And they put his whole discography beside his face on every commercial for 6 months.
Now
you see what I'm saying?
You know why they did that, right? You know why they did that. If you look at the way we do advertisement in this country, never use statistical data. We never use statistical data. We use testimony.
Right.
And when they had that dude on there and they was talking all that, all they needed to do is say, hey, you're like it too.
You stupid. Stupid.
So are y'all against immigration or are y'all for immigration? What do y'all?
I say, you know, and sometimes it's an unpopular opinion. Sometimes it's an unpopular opinion, but I say this country was built on immigration. You take your ass to New York and go right over there to Ellis Island and it say it right there. Give me your poor, your weak, your huddled masses. This place was the place for immigrants. But now that the immigrants are getting browner, all of a sudden the party's over. That's how I see it. Because you'll never hear nobody talking about a Polish immigrant. You don't ever hear nobody talk about a German immigrant. You don't hear nobody talking about it. Matter of fact, the dude who is in the office right now says he would rather have immigrants from these particular places. We're only discussing Haitian immigrants, Venezuelan immigrants, Black, you know what I mean? That's because that's the face they put on it. They ain't really necessarily against immigration. They're against certain immigrants. That's where I have the problem.
And
if we're gonna have them, we're gonna have them. Don't tell me you get to pick the ones you want. Immigration is immigration.
Mm-hmm. You know, I feel I kind of agree with you and I disagree because every other country, you have to have some type of paperwork or some type of paper showing that you belong there. Well, I don't care if you're going to France, anywhere. You have to have some type of paperwork to show.
I understand your sentiment.
Yeah.
But I'll go back and say it again. This country was built. We weren't never like them places. This country was come here. That was the staple of this country. Come here.
Right.
May I interject?
Yes, sir.
When you get stopped here, you got to have your driver's license.
Right.
In order to get a driver's license, you have to have some paperwork to show your citizenship status. So really, that's what makes this country so great, is that you can go from DC to LA without a passport. Right? That's what makes the economy so strong. Can you imagine the logistical cost if a truck driver has to take his stuff from the port of Houston all the way up to Ohio and show fucking paperwork every time? And he got to pay a toll. He got to cross a border. Like, I don't think people understand that Europe, the European Union, would sit inside of the Midwest, right? So you can't go 200 miles without showing some paperwork, a passport, all that stuff. I particularly don't want that. I don't think it's right. I think it denies us of all the things that makes our country so dynamic and makes our economy so hard to topple. I mean, what we're seeing right now are extreme measures to topple our economy. But let me circle back to the original question. My take on immigration is the stone that sharpens the blade of the American worker. Okay? It keeps us honest. You can't be slothful in the way you present yourself in the marketplace and expect us all to be able to do good business. So you need that infusion of fresh blood, if you will, to make sure that the DNA of our economy doesn't grow weak. So you need new work. You need fresh workers. You need new ideas. You need fresh ideas. If it wasn't for immigration, we wouldn't have won World War II. Because we wouldn't have had no atom bomb. Okay? Because the people who helped us with the atom bomb were German immigrants. So I can't say, hey, let's not have immigration.
Okay, so can I interject this? What I was saying, I don't disagree with immigration, but at least have the paperwork to show that you are legal to be here. Because the job that I have, right, I do corporate security during the day. And there's no way that you could, okay, so if I was to leave the United States and go over to Japan, I would have to have the paperwork, all the information to show that I belong here and I went through the right channels to be here, right? I would even further have to learn to somewhat speak the dialect so that I can get along. There are people that come up to my job. You got Uber drivers, Uber Eats, they don't speak a lick of English. And so you mean to tell me that you're a documented citizen and you don't speak a lick of English? You don't even have the knowledge to put your directions in English so that I can direct you. And then
you're not a
first point.
But you wouldn't be a documented citizen. You would be a what's the word I'm looking for? You would have legal immigration. You could be on a work visa, school visa. Don't necessarily mean you can speak English.
I just want to
say
this boils down to education and enforcement.
Let me give you one example. Right, I live in Germany for 6 years. Everybody over that motherfucker didn't speak no damn German.
Did they have?
I tried to learn it. I tried to learn it because I wanted to talk. Well, yeah, I wanted to talk to the bitches, so I had to.
but I get you. Either way it goes. But they have.
But there were Americans there. But there were Americans there that did not speak English. I mean, did not speak German. But
not at
most
all.
Germans, most Germans can speak a little English, though they learn it in school. So most Germans
can speak English. Have gotten so arrogant to the point to where they get an attitude that I don't speak their language. That's the problem that I have with that situation.
Well,
I don't want to get out.
You can't be in America. You can't be in America and get mad at me that I don't speak whatever language.
That is insane.
That's fair, Tony. I can get behind you in that respect as far as some of our immigrants, because I work in I work in the transportation field, right? So I deal with regularly a lot of Somalians and most of the Hispanic cats, they speak English, but the issue be the Somalians, them cats, it's like that. I don't even know how they get the driver's license for real, because what I mean, they be at the warehouse somewhere and can't communicate with the cat at the window. You know what I mean? So I get what you're saying. I mean, because I don't even know how you got your license. I know somebody probably did was a translator, maybe, and you took the test. But in my opinion, to do what I do, communication is paramount.
Oh my goodness. Yes,
you know what I mean? So how can you, do this job without a basic ability to communicate? So when it comes to some of that, I feel it. To be here, we can have the debate, but there's certain jobs that an immigrant can procure, and I'm like, well, how the hell, man?
And I don't want to.
Did that happen without the basic ability to communicate?
My thing is this: as Trump got in office, a lot of them lost their job.
Right.
It's like that. They lost 20 employees within a blink of an eye.
Yep.
And in dealing with certain jobs like we basically deal with the same type of people on our job. A lot of people don't see these things. You know what I'm saying?
And
man,
I do, because I'm in construction.
Yeah. So when you like in housekeeping, you got certain jobs like that don't really require a lot of documents. These people are hiring these illegal immigrants, which, hey, far be it for me, I don't want nobody to not be able to take care of their family. But at the end of the day, when it comes to certain things like this, we can't go over to where they're running from or where they're leaving and do the same thing. It's just not going to happen. That's just the issue that I have.
I get it, but
I do want to point out though.
But that goes back to the beginning of this conversation. Go ahead, John.
I do want to point out, man. I do want to point out that the fact that we have these occurrences speaks to the strength of their prospective community. A lot of these people, their community is so close knit that they're able to have a support network that would allow them to be plugged into position. We really, I mean, as much as I agree with y'all, but we really should be looking at their model.
You don't heard me say this though. That used to be us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you see a dude get a job who can't even speak English? How do you think he got that job? His cousin.
Like I said, that used to be us. Somebody would move from the South, right? And get themselves solidified somewhere up north. And that cousin that can't read, this nigga draw an X for his name, that nigga be a carpenter for 60 years. Because I'm in business. That used to be us, but that's not what we do. That we are so fractured as a people.
You know why? And me looking and seeing and feeling and dealing through life, we have come to a point and to where we don't know how to play our role, right? Say for instance, everybody on this podcast that we're having right now, we're all family, right? One person is the spokesman. That is the person that is the face of said company. He has the gift of gab. Then you got the workhorse. Then you have somebody that can put things together behind the scenes, and the person that it's just like everybody wants to be the leader, but don't want to take leader.
Look, I don't mean to interrupt you.
I think you're talking about a lack of integrity.
I ain't trying to interrupt you, man. But we was just having this conversation. Was it earlier today or yesterday? When I was talking about how, or you started, Jock, with the how fractured we are to where everybody want to be on top. Nope, you know what I mean? So we fractured. You can't even recommend a dude be a reference for a cat to get a job that he put you down for the reference because you ain't coming up on me. I helped you get. Come on, you can't put my name on there. That's how that is. Yeah,
because
it's that deep.
Because we talking about
sign my name as a reference because I may get a bonus. You know what I mean?
Because we're talking about multi-level marketing, right?
That's what.
Because I was telling them, I said my son is doing some multi-level marketing, and I was like, "Give me a catalog, doc. I patronize the business. I understand. I find something in here, deodorant or something that I use all the time, and I just get it to be ordered from you. Just that simple."
Right.
He was like, "You will?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" See, the concept of multi-level marketing feels like a scam because it takes unified, unilateral cooperation in order for it to work.
To be successful.
And if there's any dissension, if there's any of that crash in the bucket shit, it ain't gonna work.
Nope.
And a lot of people don't want to respect when you get into a multi-level marketing situation. A lot of people feel like, well, I see you doing well, but why do you get all of the money off of me? And you like, well, I brought this to you, so you ended up in my downstream. I get the people for you. I help you get people. But you can't blame me if you got a whole podcast network, personal network of people. You got a bunch of crabs in your book. And you mad at me because you chose this quality of people to hang out with? Because that's our problem. When I say I feel like it's a question of integrity, it's because that's what it is. I mean, community requires integrity. If I can't have you over my house without you licking your teeth at my wife, how can I trust you to mow my lawn?
You know, it's kind of like I said that before. That used to be our thing in our community. You know, it'd be 6, 7 cousins in the house. They all working at different jobs, paying the bills, and then they all going to school. Then now they successful. Next group of people coming, moving from all over the place. That's how we used to do it. But like Jack was saying, you got a hard time doing that now because I can't trust you not trying to mess with my old lady. Wow. You know what I mean? And that's how we have devolved as a community. It is so little code and so little trust in the community. It's hard to network like we should.
And everybody wants a quarterback. You can only have one quarterback. You can only have.
You're right.
Yeah, everybody.
You might have a backup.
Everybody.
That's the thing. Everybody wants to be the face of something.
Yeah. Everybody want to be what he can.
To be the face, because a lot of us don't understand that you have your role, but are you willing to deal with the consequences that comes with being a face? It's just like being the head of a relationship, right? So say for instance, I'm with my girl and we having a good relationship, but all of a sudden the relationship fall apart and it could definitely be her fault. But who's going to take the blame? I am.
Right.
Because I'm supposedly the head of the relationship. And that's why I think a lot of black businesses don't work, because everybody wants to be the head. Everybody sees that, just like the club that I'm at now. I put in on helping to get built. This is my cousin's club, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to blurt out that I'm part owner. Hey, yeah, I'm told I'm part owner. This, that. No.
Right.
We were just talking about this yesterday or today too.
Right. Nobody even knows that I'm in on this. He is the face of the club. I'm just, oh yeah, that's Tony, that's security. Oh, hey, T, what's going on, baby? You know, this, that, and the other. I'm like, and I ain't got to be like, yeah, you know, I own part of this. It's me. You know what I'm saying? No. It's like everybody got to know their role, and all these cogs working together is what's going to be successful. And that's what they do. They come in. I've literally seen people come in and buy a food truck. I seen a family move into the neighborhood, foreigners, move into the neighborhood. Next thing I know, I see them a mile up the street across from the Quick Trip with a food truck. Everybody works at that food truck.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was telling somebody this before. Like, you know, I was having an argument, not one argument, but a debate about a guy, and we were talking immigration. And I was basically, the conversation kind of went the way it's going now. Like, dude, we can't get mad at Mexicans for doing what they do, because they doing what we used to do. We was together. But now, this is what happens. One guy come from Mexico, get his papers, he legal, he working here, all of his family come. It's 9, 10 of them niggas living in a 1-bedroom apartment. They all work at McDonald's, one buy a lawnmower. Then they keep on working at McDonald's, another one get a lawnmower. Ooh, now the guy who's the citizen, now he got a pickup truck. Next thing you know, they a business. It's 8, 10 lawnmowers, 10 Mexicans, all packed in a pickup truck, cutting yards for $50 a while. Making $1,000 every week and a half. But that used to be us. But we don't do that.
You know what this reminds me of, man? You ever see that movie, I Broke My Heart at Wounded Knee?
Yeah.
Let me see that.
I seen it.
It's about breaking. It's about the march on the Trail of Teeth, right? Of the American Indian. Well, there was this thing that the white soldiers started when they started to march, because everybody was still, I want to say it was Crazy Horse. Everybody was still coming to him as the chief. And the soldiers began to subvert the structure of their social network by saying, around here, every man's a chief. Around here, every man's a chief. That's why I don't subscribe to when people come up to me and they go, hey, king. I'm not a king. Right? Every man can't be a king.
Don't.
We need bishops, knights, and garrison out this bitch too. We need pawns.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if every person on your side of the chessboard is a king, all you have to do on the other side is move the pawn out of the way and expose the king in the front line to the queen. Game over. Every man can't be a king.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes.
Everybody always want to be an alpha. It's not.
But that's what happened. I remember it's a verse in the Bible saying it's better to be a doorman in the house of God than a king in the den of iniquity.
Right.
And one of the reasons why is because in the den of iniquity, every nigga think he a king.
You know, I kind of want to segue into something real quick. I think that's what makes number one, China, so amazing, but nonetheless, you know, their politics is not necessarily something we subscribe to. Was it communism that
they're
really
arguably more capitalist than we are.
I agree with that.
They subscribe to
That's some balance.
socialism.
Right. Okay. But nonetheless, I guess the point we're trying to make is like somebody has to be a king, someone has to be a bishop, somebody has to be a rook, somebody has to be a pawn.
Right.
And I think in those environments, you know, it's understood, you know, that that's what it is, and perhaps that's probably why they're, you know, the number 47 that Trump. Maybe that's what he's trying to do is bring about that type of environment here in the States. What do y'all say about that?
America, man, this country is dope. Number one, it's got its problems, but it's dope. And the reason I say that is because America is like feudal Japan without the bloodshed. Americans go from sandal carrier for the shogun to being the shogun himself. But without the swing of a sword, he can use the stroke of a pen. That is something that is unique. It started out as unique to this country because we tried everything. We tried guns, we tried knives, we tried revolts, and a man came along and he used a pen first. Then another man came along and used what do they call it? Peaceful protest, right? And then coupled with the ever looming threat of violence, he was able to change this country to the point where you see black generals, you see a black president, you see stuff like that. So I like the way America is right now. But what we have to understand is that the fight against evil is as unrelenting as the struggle for your immortal soul. They ain't never gonna stop making fat booty. So if you get married, you always gonna have to check yourself. Okay? They ain't never gonna stop raising racists. So if you black, get your ass out and vote. Tell your kids to vote. Teach people what community is about. Help your friends and your family understand how government works. Because the fight against evil and tyranny is never ending. It ain't no clean win. Okay? Once you get the position, you gotta hold it. I'm done. Go ahead, Will. I appreciate it.
No, I'm good, man. I like that run. I don't even need to comment on that one. That's
good to me.
That was very succinctly put, as James.
Damn.
Yeah.
It's very rare you got me not saying nothing. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I'm proud
of you because you know I always got something to say.
Yeah.
I just feel like honestly, as working men and as family men, we have to try to do the best we can to make things better for the future, because that's really what it's all about. Once you have kids, then it's not about you anymore.
That's right.
To a certain
That's
extent.
right. Yeah, it's about your progeny. It's about your progeny after that. Yeah,
I'm glad you brought that up. That's kind of what I meant by what you were saying. Like everybody can't be a quarterback, but there has to be a backup. So being able to see the potential in the next generation, you know what I'm saying, and actually bringing them forward to say, okay, you're up next, and being able to relinquish that role. You know what I'm saying? Have it because that's
relinquish that role with the cushion. You get what I'm saying?
Yes.
Don't relinquish me. It's just like my parents passing away, but leaving me a whole heap of debt. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's what the majority of our ancestors, meaning, you know, our grandparents and great grandparents, a lot of them didn't know how to make it so that the generation ahead of them would know what to do with what I left you. You get what I'm saying?
That's right.
And that comes from generational teaching, man. And this is not something that I've read. This is not something that I've heard someone say. I've seen it. And this generation now is learning as they go to try to make sure that they secure these things before they lose them. Or you get what I'm saying? And so
I get what you're saying.
Yeah, so it's like,
look.
Yeah, without saying too much, because I don't really.
I was saying that's another.
That's
another podcast, buddy.
Yes, sir.